In this demonstration, we're now going to look at how to create an Azure virtual network in the Azure portal and some associated subnets. So let's head over to the Azure portal to begin. Here we are in the Azure portal, and the first thing I'm going to do is just create a new resource group for this one. So we'll click Add, and we'll call this one SL-network-portal because we are going to do it in PowerShell as well. So choose my subscription and give the resource group a name. And I'm going to put these in East US and click Create. Okay, we refresh and our network portal resource group is created. And now let's go ahead to virtual networks on the left-hand side, click in there. If you've got any virtual networks present already, they would show up here, but go ahead and click Add to add our new virtual network. And we'll get the Microsoft wizard that pops up, and now we can start typing in our information. So to begin, I'm going to call this network SL-VNet-portal. And the address space we're going to use here is a 10.0.0/23 in this case. I can go down here. I can also add an IPv6 space if I wanted to use that, but I'm just going to use IPv4 for this demonstration. We can choose our subscription again, and now I'm going to select my resource group, which is SL-network-portal that I just created in East US. Now you do need to create a default subnet to begin with. You need a minimum of one subnet in your network. So let's go ahead and create our first subnet. And so we'll just call this subnet A. And inside of our /23, we'll create a 10.0.0/24 network inside there. We can have two /24s inside of our /23. And again, that's 10.0.0/23 above. And you can see 10.0.0/24. In fact, if we go back up again, you can see the range allowed. So the 23 allows everything from 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.1.255. So when we create the next subnet, we'll start it at 10.0.1.0, and that'll be another /24. Now I'm not going to go all into subnet, and there's plenty of courses out there on networking if you want to Google around and check out other courses. But this is the basics of taking an address space and creating that network for you. And then we have some other pieces like DDoS protection that you can choose to enable if you want to, and that's covered separately in security. And then we also have some things here called service endpoints and firewall. So service endpoints allow us to, say, take a storage account and make it accessible directly in a virtual network. And the firewall is the Azure Firewall Service, which is also covered separately in Microsoft Security Certification. So with that, let's go ahead and click Create, and that will go ahead and create our network. And it actually doesn't take very long. It's amazing how fast we can provision networks these days. So you'll see that scroll along the top there, refresh, and you can see we have SL-VNet-portal there. I can click into that network. Scroll down on the left-hand side. We can see things like our address space here. So again, we've got that 10.0.0/23. You can see any connected devices. We don't have anything connected right now, but if we had virtual machines on that network, it would actually show up here for us. And then we can see we also have the subnets. So I've got subnet A there. If I want to add my additional subnet, I simply click plus subnet here, and let's call this one subnet B. And we'll give it that 10.0.1.0. You can see it's already picked the next CIDR block for us automatically. And here I can also do some other things. We're going to cover network security groups and route tables a bit later on, but I can also directly here with the subnet add network security groups, add route tables, add service endpoints that we talked about a little bit earlier as well. And you can also delegate a subnet to a service as well. So this is a new feature that Microsoft's added again, so we can kind of, restrict or utilize that subnet specifically for, say, Databricks or Cosmos DB, things like that we want to use it for. But I'm not going to do any of that now. I'm going to simply click OK, and that will then create our subnet B for us. And it doesn't take long at all. We can see it there, and we can see our address range as well. So you can also see here, if we click into, say, subnet A, and we look at our address range here, 256 addresses total if you just sort of add up the numbers in the subnet range here, but our available addresses are 251. So if you mouse over, and this is the number of unallocated IP addresses remaining in the subnet. So anything in use, virtual machines, etc., will start to grab from this pool of addresses. But note, there's already 5 used from Azure already that are reserved for Azure use, and so you can't use them. And so what you end up with available is 251 addresses for use there. You can also go in here and associate network security groups and route tables at this time as well. And if you want to delete your subnet, you can simply click delete and it will go ahead and delete that subnet for you. So with that, that concludes this demonstration on how to do Azure VNets in the portal itself.